Everyone believed Brenda Heist was dead. For 11 years, she was missing without a trace. Then suddenly she was found alive. She left behind her children, her home, even her identity. And the truth behind her disappearance is far darker than anyone imagined. Brenda Heist was a single mother living in Pennsylvania, United States. She lived a simple life, not a celebrity, not an influential person. She was known as a quiet, hardworking woman who deeply loved her children. There was no criminal record, no major legal problems. There were no signs that she wanted to run away. No one saw any signs that Brenda intended to leave forever. But that day, Brenda never back home. What makes this case even more mysterious is the timing of her disappearance. On February 10th, 2002, Brenda was scheduled to appear in court for a financial and child custody hearing. She dressed as usual and said goodbye to her children as she always did. She left the house like any other day. Doesn't look scared or anxious. Everything looks normal. There were no tears, yet after that, Brenda disappeared. Her car was never found, and her phone went dead. Her bank accounts were never touched. There were no transactions of any kind. It was as if she stopped existing in the middle of her own steps. Police initially suspected this was a case of an adult leaving on her own. But one thing made everyone doubt it. Brenda would never leave her children. A close friend said,
"She might disappear from the world, but she would never leave her child."
and this is where the real mystery begins. Police launched a massive search. Brenda's name appeared in the news, and missing person posters were put up everywhere. But there wasn't a single meaningful clue. What confused everyone was one thing: Brenda left her children. And to those closest to her, that was impossible.
I didn't know they were in the process of a divorce. I can't imagine why she left.
So what really happened? Her family and her ex-husband, Lee Heist, believed she was either dead or had run away. Dark theories. When someone disappears without a trace, what remains are only theories. In the case of Brenda Heist, there were no witnesses, no physical evidence, and no clear answers. Just several possibilities, each more unsettling than the last. The first theory is kidnapping. Some believe Brenda may have been the victim of a crime on her way to court. But this theory has many weaknesses because there are no eyewitnesses, no CCTV footage, and no ransom demand. Even stranger Brenda had no enemies or conflicts big enough to trigger a planned kidnapping. If there was a perpetrator, she disappeared perfectly even for a professional crime. The second theory is suicide. Brenda was under severe stress due to debt, legal issues, and fear of losing custody of her children. Some investigators suspect she may have ended her life in a remote location. However, the problem is simple yet crucial. There was no body, no farewell note, no witnesses, and no location that suggests her death. In suicide cases, there are usually traces. And in Brenda's case, those traces were never found. The third and most controversial theory is that Brenda deliberately disappeared. Some believe she suffered from extreme mental exhaustion. The pressures of his life were piling up with no way out. She didn't bring a suitcase because she didn't plan on living comfortably. She doesn't use a bank card because she doesn't want to be traced. And she chooses to live on the streets because that's where she can truly be invisible. This theory sounds impossible until the truth is finally revealed. There's an additional, less discussed theory. Brenda didn't just disappear physically, but psychologically as well. Some experts believe she experienced a mental state where someone wants to stop being themselves. Not to die, not to escape the law, but to stop existing as Brenda. After Brenda Heist disappeared, time moved on for the world, but not for this case. Her name slowly faded from the news. The missing person posters were taken down, and the investigation ceased. For many, Brenda was presumed dead. But in a place far from home, a woman lives without a name, without an identity, and without a past. In 2013, police in Florida were responding to a routine call involving a homeless woman. She appeared calm, cooperative. Nothing about her suggested a crime. But then she said something strange. She told the officer she had been missing for years. She gave them a name as Brenda Heist. At first, the police did not believe it because many people claimed to be figures in famous cases. But there was something about the way she spoke that made the police hesitate to dismiss her outright. To confirm the veracity of his statement, the police conducted a fingerprint check. They weren't very hopeful, but when they got the results, everyone was speechless. The fingerprints matched a missing persons file from Pennsylvania, reported more than 10 years earlier. There was no longer any doubt. The woman standing in front of them was actually Brenda Heist. Brenda finally told the police that she was not kidnapped. She was not running from the law. She left because the pressures of life were too much. Financial problems, court proceedings, fear of losing her children. She felt like she couldn't be herself anymore. She didn't want to die. She just wanted to disappear. Brenda also said she has lived in tents and under bridges in Florida since 2002, surviving on odd jobs, begging, and eating food thrown from fast food restaurants. Brenda disappeared without a trace, leaving behind her son and daughter, who were 8 and 12 years old at that time. Brenda was in the process of divorcing her husband, sitting in the park. She was desperate to support herself and her 2 children. Brenda told police that she accidentally encountered 2 homeless people heading south. The 2 strangers invited her to join them on their way to warmer conditions. She made a split-second decision. She didn't know why she did it. She just walked away, Detective Schofield said. After leaving her life behind, Brenda lived homeless. She slept in city parks, on station benches, and in rarely visited corners. No identity, no money, no long-term plans. Brenda began to feel that her mental pain was heavier than her hunger. Memories of her children, her home, her old life came flooding back without warning. And each chimigrashing on the streets, drugs are no stranger. For some, it's not about having fun, it's about forgetting. Brenda didn't seek drugs, but drugs found her. At first, it was just to calm himself, to sleep, to silence the voices in his head for a moment. But like so many other stories on the streets, the boundaries slowly disappeared. What started as an escape became a habit. As drugs began to take over her life, Brenda sank deeper and deeper. Not because she was weak, but because she was alone in an environment that offered no easy choices. Heist's daughter, Morgan Heist, now 19 and a college student, said she doesn't want to restart their relationship. Morgan Heist remembers that day as if it were yesterday, saying, "I was 8 years old, with nothing to lose. That day, my mom dropped me off at school and said she was going to the grocery store. She wouldn't be home when we got there. When we got home, we thought she was at the grocery store, but she never came back."
I think when I was 8, I didn't really know what to feel. I thought she would come home because that year I made her a Mother's Day card. So obviously I thought in the back of my mind she was coming back. And now I have a lot of different emotions. I'm mad.
She left me, She was selfish. And she left me and my brother and my dad. She got up and decided she couldn't do it anymore. That's not what you do as a mother.
Her family, including her ex-husband and 2 now adult children, had to live with the hope that she would return and then mourn her loss after she was declared dead. The damage caused will be difficult to repair,